All right, guys, Madness80 here. Gonna be taking a look at the final 2-pack, which doesn't really have any repaints. This theoretically would have been the first release of Genji, default skin, Hanzo, default skin, Shimada Brothers 2-pack. This Hanzo, I haven't even opened this yet, and this Hanzo already looks like it's gonna bum some of us out, so let's just go ahead and take a closer look. Real quick, taking a look at the box, we got nice default Genji skin art here. Look at how those greens pop. Not seeing that on the figure right away, or at all. Hanzo, also looking awesome. Both damage characters. Damage. Close up here. Genji, 35-year-old Japanese man named Genji Shimada. Occupation, adventurer. Again, where are you guys getting these jobs? I want to get paid to be an adventurer. Hanzo Shimada, 38. Older brother, mercenary assassin. That is definitely a job I couldn't do. So, the brothers Genji and Hanzo use high-tech versions of ancient weapons to win the day. Ancient being the katana, the bow, you know, all that stuff. Real quick. There's Wave 2, Junkrat, McCree, Zarya, and the Posh McCree and Tracer, which has to be, I mean, it's just repaints. So, those skins do exist. I wouldn't necessarily call it like cheap on Hasbro's part. I mean, those are legit skins in the game. So let's crack this open. All right, here are the Shimada brothers up close. Well, not as close as we can get. We'll start with Genji. Genji has had a previous release, his Chrome. And again, I put that in quotes. His Chrome version, we believe is an Amazon exclusive, isn't necessarily available anywhere else, but that released earlier than this initial release, or what I assume was to be planned as the initial release for Genji. He looks good. His default skin here. Oh, bending the crap out of that sword. Oh, man. This, at least my pack is just full of paint defects. I mean, let's start here. Dragon Blade. Ridiculous. Thigh. What is going on here? Why is there paint splatter? That seems to be it for the most part. Hanzo isn't any better, but we've gone over the articulation for this guy, and I don't know if I'm going to do it again in this video, but again, I like the proportions on this figure much more than the Figma version. Let's get Hanzo out of frame for a bit, or at least off to the side. I got his Figma here ready to go. They're about the same height. Figma's a little thinner, little smaller overall. They look good. Again, I prefer the proportions on the Hasbro one. I think it looks more like Genji, only because of the proportion. Then I'm not saying this doesn't look like Genji, but naturally you're getting more bang for your buck again for that. Still, let's get his Chrome version out. There's a lot missing here. As you can see, the center of his chest there has the green. Here it's noticeably absent, and all these circles should be painted and lit up. You could see on the Figma version where all the green is missing, and a certain decal detail, and we know they can do decals and they can do them well. We're missing a 25 there on the chest, so we're missing a little bit of red accents, and just this whole, no, I guess this is part of the ab crunch. Yeah, this belt here is part of the ab here. But I like it. I mean, it's good. It doesn't annoy me because I don't think the browns might be too bright, but I think they look great. I think it looks good like this. It doesn't annoy me like the Chrome one because it wasn't Chrome. Okay, swear that time is the last time. Again, I wish this was articulated, but let's get a close up there. Again, they nailed the head sculpt. The green in the visor looks fantastic. Missing green detail in all these circle accents. Shoulders, chest. Would have made it pop. If I had a steady hand, I'd go in and fill these in myself. But again, I don't think I should have to do any of that. You know, I don't think those little paint details would have had to have increased the price of this figure, considering all the other details and colors. I mean, look at that, you know, detail like that. Tracer, for instance. Do I have a tracer here? Her little decals such as that. such as that, Mercy even. I don't think that would have driven the cost up for this figure. I just think it was, I don't want to say lazy, I just think it was overlooked. Maybe it was lazy, I don't know. I'm not a toy guy, I'm not a toy designer, I don't claim to be, so. But yeah, I mean, if you wanted a default Genji skin, this is the pack to get. This looks great. Comes with his blades. And again, I'll link to the Chrome Genji video if you want to see his articulation. We all know why we're here. We want to see Hanzo. So we'll move on to Hanzo. Hanzo Shimada. So he's the eldest of the Shimada brothers. He was groomed as an assassin and whatnot to take over the crime syndicate his father and his family's legacy comes from. Once his father died, he took over, needed to get his brother in line, Genji. Dude wouldn't fall in line, so he had to kill him. So Hanzo is a character about redemption because that broke his heart. You know, he regrets that he had to kill his brother. And he went and took out his syndicate. So he's all about, you know, think of Ronin in Endgame, although his motives are a little bit closely tied to actual crime syndicates and stuff like that. So, you know, he wants to redeem himself for the crimes his family and the crimes he himself has committed. So he's a little bit torn. So you could see, there we go, glare out of his eyes. Face print is great. Unfortunately, again, the paint mess, white splotches there, weird black splotch there on his neck. I'll take an X-Acto and see. This seam is disgusting, man. This is like, what the heck, man? I don't know if you could tell. It's actually raised too. It's not just like pieced together. It's raised. So I'm wondering if I could shave it down, but I'm afraid to because it looks like this body was actually molded in black plastic, and the skin is the color that was painted on top. So I'm afraid if I scrape this away, I'm just gonna have a black line anyway. But that's sloppy, man. That looks sloppy and gross. As for the rest of him, man, I know you guys are noticing right away, there is no ab crunch. So we'll see how that goes. I haven't really had time to try and pose him and any of that stuff. Just kind of doing it in real time here. Stormbow, looking good. No string. I don't even, yeah, there is a string in game and in the art and all that stuff. Even a thin piece of plastic similar to what they do with the Hawkeye figures would have been nice. Let me grab one of those real quick. So real quick, it's a thick plastic line, but you know, putting it there, I don't think it would have made that bow any less cool than what it is. Nice little gold accent there. This blue has a nice shimmer to it. You see little excess plastic, makes it look like there's like a hair between there, but it's the plastic. This hasn't even left this table. So, looks good. Storm Arrow, he comes with just one. It's very flimsy plastic. Oh, this isn't gonna wanna focus. You can see mine is already bent, and that's just kind of how it came out of package. Focus. He comes with his quiver equipped. I don't think this can unequip. I think this is, I don't see like a little tab or anything like that on the figure to take this off. But looking at the quiver, you can see he has some Stormbows remaining and a slot for the one Storm Arrow that he has, which looks kind of goofy sticking out. But you can kind of play with that, as in he's just pulling that arrow out. So, bandana for his man bun. Is it twist or is it just, I think the plastic's just flimsy. It is a separate piece, but you could see, but I think it's just flimsy. Very flimsy, as a matter of fact. These tattoos, oh man, I can't, there we go. It's a dragon. I couldn't make out what it was. I think with all the cuts, I mean, for what it is, for all the cuts in the arm, it looks decent. You know, they did their best too with the butterfly joint. I think yeah, it's not bad, you know? I don't know how they could have done better. This little canteen. Is there some sake in there? Who knows? This isn't as pliable as it looks like it would be. It's just a solid black robe. Green design there, gray design underneath. Blue sash, which is again holding up his canteen, his pouches. If you want to get crazy, you can go and detail those pouches. You can see my canteen isn't painted all the way. It's probably to avoid any paint dripping or spilling over onto, you know, I'm making excuses because you see this big gap here of missing paint, but then it's painted very closely, at least on this ball part. So I'm making excuses for them. Knee pads look great. Skinny shins and boots look awesome. So we'll take a look at articulation. Let's get back to his head. I like the gray sideburns. The head sculpt isn't bad, man. I think his eyes are a bit shiny. See, right there, they look a little weird and shiny, but once I get the glare out of there, I think it looks good. It looks good. I might have to touch that up. That white dot. Even not looking through the lens, sorry, I'm looking with my eyes there. It's pretty noticeable. It looks bigger than what it is on camera, but still. And the lines here with the robe aren't necessarily as clean as they could be. So yeah, let's take a look at his articulation. Up close and personal. Hanzo can look up fairly decent amount. Pretty good. Down this much. And his side to side. Pretty good with some tilt. Barely any tilt. Let's not give him credit for that. So we're gonna have two sets of arms to focus on. Not two sets of arms. Two arms to focus on, rather. The sleeveless arm, which, you know, you can see here, can go up this far, has full rotation, has a good, really good butterfly, which is gonna help posing him, since this is the hand he holds the bow in. Yeah, sorry, just admiring that butterfly. It's really good. He's got, on this arm, however, because it is sleeved, he still has a butterfly. Oh, you know what? This ended up bending better than I thought. So he still has a butterfly. He can't go up too far that way, but of course he could always rotate it up. Looks a little goofy because of how poofy the robe gets right there before it's kind of tapered down by this cuff. So yeah, full rotation, up only this far. You can see the ball in there. Moving on. So for the sleeveless arm, we do get a bicep cut. Looks good. We'll kind of line up his tattoo there. Yeah, that looks good. But yeah, bicep cut here. Unfortunately, nothing on this side. Something is moving though. Let's see. Is the shoulder moving? No, dude. So this does rotate. It's kind of crazy. You can see. Was it the shoulder rotating? I can't tell, dude. Anyway. Sleeveless arm, double jointed elbows. Great bend there. They did the best they could here with the tattoos and the peg holes. They don't look so bad on the other side. Here is a single jointed elbow, but it's on a crazy ball that kind of has a weird pivot because of how this is angled. So, I mean, you can bend it the other way and get... It's pretty cool. There is a swivel at this cuff as well. So you don't get bicep up here, but you'll get a swivel at the, not even the wrist, because that's separate. So at this cuff. So Hanzo does come with two sets of hands. This hand is your Stormbow holding hand, which I wish this had a, you know, the different type of tilt, the opposite of this basically. Because if he's holding the bow, and if you know, a lot of times in the game he holds it kind of forward. So even with the butterfly, you'd want to angle it a certain way. But yeah, up, down, Swivel, swivel. His other hand is a fist. Same type of articulation. As for this hand, again, I mentioned you're going to get a swivel here, but you also get your normal wrist swivel, and you get your up-down swivel, not your side-to-side. His arrow pulling hand, same thing, up-down. And this looks good if you want to see it. Pretty cool. Now, I don't know what Hasbro could have done, but there is no diaphragm, there is no ab crunch. You know, they chose to sculpt this here. I mean, I'd even be interested to see how Figma would do this. They haven't announced a Hanzo, but you know, it's very likely. Maybe this be a separate piece, sculpt the whole body in there and do all that articulation. This being a pliable plastic could have been a way. Again, not a toy designer, I don't know, or you can always go with cloth. You know, I could see Hasbro doing cloth before Figma doing cloth. And forgive me if Figma has done cloth aside from capes. But let me know in the comments if you can think of something. Yeah, he does, though, have a waist that also acts like a diaphragm. So it's just full tilt there to kind of make up for the lack of anything up top. He also has no nipples, which is weird. Is that how he is in game? I doubt it. Well, just kind of weird to me. I don't know. Looks kind of strange. As far as legs go, they go out pretty far despite the plastic here. And we'll lift that up so you could see. So out that far, forward that far, back not far at all. And it's because they still sculpted Hanzo butt underneath this. This plastic's not too pliable either, so. Both legs have a good thigh cut. Poofy AF because they tuck into these boots, which kind of taper the cloth. As for knees, double jointed. It's pretty good despite how thick that is. Yeah. That's surprising. Sorry, doing all this in real time, checking this figure out. No shin cut. Nothing there. We'll just move on to the feet. That's amazing. Don't forget, Hanzo does have a wall climb. So, I mean, if you're going to be doing some figure photography with him running up a wall, that could help you. These ankles are so skinny. And I know it's not anything of Hasbro. It's just a design, but it looks kind of trippy seeing him up close. Down that far. We saw up that far, and wow, that's an insane pivot. There's nothing hindering this at all. So you get full crazy 360 rotation on his pivot. Jumping back to Genji real quick, he does come with the same alternate hands as his Chrome counterpart. The shuriken throwing hand and this cool little finger pose that he does hand. So for the final accessory for Hanzo, he does come with the Dragon Strike effect. As you can see, it's tiny, man. I mean, we know in game it's big enough. So forced perspective, it'd be even bigger than this when it comes to taking out team members. But yeah, it's tiny. Good effort on Hasbro, though. It looks great. I think it looks good. It's just so tiny, and I don't know what alternative there was for them. So his hand fits through here. I'll just show you real quick in this next cut. So yeah, that is Hanzo. Looking pretty good. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I mean, this torso section is still kind of gross. Even aesthetically, you know. It just looks so plain. But I like this figure. It's not bad. Interested to see if and when and what Figma could do with this character. But for what we got here, I'm not disappointed at all, actually. It's just maybe more disappointed with his accessories and stuff. So jumping into height comparisons here, I do want to point out, man, these are so flimsy. The plastic that they use for the legs, the shins, the ankles, I mean, it's all one piece. The shins, ankles, and then the feet are so flimsy compared to the rest of the figure. So, I mean, if these things get hot, he's just going to fall over because it's just going to be bendy. But here he is next to Golden Soldier 76 and the new Bitrate Lucio. Here he is with the chrome version of his brother Genji and Zarya, also from Wave 2. So here he is with Figma D.Va and Posh Tracer from Hasbro. And here he is with Bundeswehr Reinhardt. And again, if you're sleeping on this Reinhardt figure, be it Bundeswehr or regular, as an action figure collector, I think it's worth picking up, man, just to have a badass giant action figure. He's rad. All right, that is it. That was, let's be honest, this was mostly a Hanzo review. We've seen this Genji before. Again, I'll link the chrome version so you can get all the nitty-gritty details on articulation and all that stuff in the comments, or in the description rather, and maybe even some cards during the video. But I hope you like what you saw. These Overwatch figures, they're pumping them out right now, man, which is awesome. My only fear is because Wave 1, I'm starting to see disappear from stores. So hopefully with Overwatch now appearing on the Switch, we'll get some more action figure Overwatch enthusiasts. And the rumored announcement of a campaign Overwatch 2, maybe at BlizzCon, we'll get some hype going and these figures will sell. So, thanks again. Please like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I appreciate you. I want you to know that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. See ya.